Net Oxy here for Tac Shack Tactical TV from a really lekker, sunny Johannesburg afternoon. I'm here with Paul. Welcome, Paul.
Hi viewers. Yeah, it's great weather.
Shall we talk about the elephant in the room that's been in the room for the last 2-3 days? Do you want to go into detail about it?
So you guys, have you been following stuff in general in the world? At the moment, you would have seen that there's a bit of a kerfuffle about some guy sent through a voice note of he was stopped on the N1. We didn't know whether it was the N1 north or south. We didn't know whether it was in the Free State or in Limpopo. We just said the N1. He was stopped and he had a sport shooting firearm on him, section 16 I think it was, and the police wanted to confiscate the firearm and threatened to lock him up because he was carrying it when it should be when it's not a section 13, and you're only allowed to carry section 13 firearms, or we're going to arrest you if we find them loaded in the car, and etc. 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 There was also then a case of some guy was carrying that was the other thing. A guy was carrying his firearm in the cubby box in his car. And the police wanted to arrest him for that because it must be in your holster, because if it's in your car, it's not under your control or some ridiculous thing like that.
There's a third one as well.
So there may have been.
This from our club member yesterday.
Yes, indeed. One of our club members yesterday, our shooting club members yesterday, also got into a situation.
Yeah, he had to give up his firearm, and they tried to get a bribe as well. So.
Yeah. So anyway, so this whole thing it's pretty much the law is very, very, very crystal clear on the lawful use clause in each of the sections of the that you can license a firearm under, and in section 17, which is private collectors, where they haven't got the lawful use clause, the police went and wrote a lawful use clause into the regulations because they realized it should have been there. So there's no question of it. The police have realized this for a long time, except individual police members who perhaps are trying to extract bribes. It's the only reason I can think of. In any case, but that's not the big story. So this thing comes out, we react to this, and then one of the sport shooting associations shoots themselves in both feet and through the temple, and comes out and supports the position that this bribes rent-seeking policeman on the side of the road was trying to make, and says, no, we've always said you can't do this, and here's our 5-year-old garbled and confusing opinion, a legal opinion to support us. So that went down like a lead balloon. I think that lasted exactly 12 hours before they printed a retraction. This is a sports shooting association that's done this before. They have form for this, issuing statements one day, and then even the same day, but definitely by the next day, withdrawing the statement, saying, "Oh no, that's not what we meant at all." They came down the next day and said, "Oh no, we phrased it poorly. What we actually meant to say, guys, please, just if you've got nothing intelligent to say, resist the urge to say."
Martin had a very good summary of it.
Martin straight away came through to me and said to me, "Listen, here's a good summary of the situation.
And it was a very
if you want to use it." And I sent it out to a number of people because it was very well encapsulated.
Absolutely.
So that's not the end of the story. So the Sport Shooting Association walks back their ridiculous statement, and then agrees with the rest of everybody after they got beaten up badly on social media. So then this morning, I'm going to read sections of this out to you. I'm not going to read the whole thing. It's on the GOSA Facebook group for you to download. You can download it there. It's an official police directive. It's the Free State Police's Provincial Head of Legal and Policy Services, Brigadier D.S. Ramorena Tsai, and the Brigadier comes out and says, this morning. Possession of all types of firearms in public and during transportation, the Firearms Control Act 60 of 2000. This office was made aware of an incident where a holder of a firearms license for sport shooting was stopped by members of the service during a roadblock and informed that he is not allowed to have his firearm in his possession for any other purpose than participating in sport shooting, even though he was able to produce the license for the firearm in question. As a result of the above incident, the person in question has been informing members of the public on social media. Thank you. Of course I know social media. He's me. That the SAPS will charge any person who is in possession of a firearm other than a firearm for self-defense if such firearm is not possessed for the purpose mentioned in the license. The correct legal position in terms of the FCA is that there is no provision in the Act that prohibits the possession of a firearm by a person who has a valid license for the firearm in question, irrespective of the type of license. A person who is, for instance, in possession of a firearm licensed for hunting purposes is allowed to carry that firearm with him anywhere. All that is required is that person must be in possession of a valid license for the firearm in his possession. So here we have, whereas we have been told that the police disagree with our more liberal interpretation, which is the correct interpretation, by the Sport Shooting Association, we've been lectured on this, in fact. The police don't think that. In fact, it was one or two individual policemen on the side of the road that were doubtless looking for a free lunch or something. So guys, that's it. The police agree with us. Most intelligent lawyers agree with us. It is what it is. It's exactly what the Act says.
Don't make it more complicated than it is.
Don't overthink these things.
So the other thing I just wanted to ask you, our club member was stopped at 2 o'clock in the morning. He was actually on the way back from work. He had quite a bit of cash on him. He also has a lot of sport shooting licenses. And the guys then actually asked him to hand over his weapon to check it. You don't do that, am I correct? What is the correct thing to do?
So it's a difficult one because they do have the right to inspect the firearm.
Yeah.
They do have the right to demand to see the license, and they have the right to inspect the firearm to confirm that the firearm matches the details on the license. Okay? So you've got to play this by ear. At the end of the day, you don't want to get into a fight on the side of the road with the police, because you're going to lose the fight. You're going to you might end up getting roughed up and getting chucked in the back of the police van. It's not going to, and yes, you can sue the police later and you can make lots of money out of it because the police will lose, because it's an unlawful arrest to start with. But guys, avoid a situation like that. So if you're stopped and the police say, do you have a firearm on you? If they don't ask if you've got a firearm on you, you're under no obligation to come forward with that information. And I wouldn't. I would just say, hi, can I help you? We're looking for this or that or the other. Sorry, we can't help you. Or no, we don't have anything in the car. But if I have a firearm on me, I'm going to say to the policeman, yes, I am armed. I'm legally armed.
If they ask you.
Here's my license. And I'm going to present the license to the cop. If the cop says, I'd like to check the license against the serial number on the firearm, I'll say to him, with the greatest of pleasure, would you mind if I for both of our safety, would you mind if I made the firearm safe first before I handed it over to you, or before I presented it to you?
Rather than not hand over.
The policeman, policemen have a difficult job. The policeman will then look at the situation and determine and say either, no, I'm not happy with you handling the firearm, or please get out of the car, or can we go around the back of the car, or something like that. Say, look, I don't want to do it in public. Do you mind if I just get out of the road? I'll present you the firearm and you can check the serial number with the greatest of pleasure. I would prefer, if were it me in the situation and the guys weren't tense and we weren't already involved in an altercation with them, I would prefer to hold the firearm in my hands and show the serial number to the officer so he could read it off the firearm without the firearm leaving my hands. Every time, and you can, the rationale for this is simple. Every time you load or unload a firearm, it's an opportunity for something to go wrong, for you to drop the fire, or whatever it might be. You drop the firearm and it's a Sig Sauer, it goes off. So there's you're increasing the risk. So you want to mitigate the risk. You want to take as little risk as possible, and one of the ways you do that is by not letting the firearm leave your hand. So you present the firearm, not pointing the firearm at the officer, because he'll probably shoot you then, which is entirely justified to do, as Len Kluter found out. You present the firearm to him in such a way that he can see the serial number, and everybody should be happy. In the worst case scenario, you make the firearm safe. You never, ever, ever hand a loaded firearm to anybody. Not to anybody. You make the firearm safe, you lock the slide back if it's a pistol, which it probably will be, and you hand the firearm to the officer. If it's a revolver, you open the cylinder. You don't even have to empty the rounds out of the cylinder. Once the cylinder is open, the firearm is inert. You can actually hold the firearm through the frame on top of the cylinder with your hands, with your fingers of your weak hand, and hand the firearm to the officer so he can inspect anything he wants to inspect. Don't let him close the cylinder, or then just take the rounds out. But you play it by ear. Don't have a fight with the officer next to the road. It's like road rage. Just don't do it. Don't get out of your car and have a fight with somebody. Who knows what can happen? Anyway, so that's my advice. What you also want to do, the moment things start looking as if something might go wrong, and you know this, I mean, your spidey sense starts tingling, you know that something's going wrong. The moment something starts going wrong, start gathering evidence. If you haven't got a dash cam in your car, use your cell phone. Use your cell phone to either record the incident, or if you're a GOSA member and you have GOSA's the GOSA law cell phone loaded onto your phone, do a video call or do a WhatsApp call to that number and record the interaction with the policeman. Yeah. So that's off-site as well.
And they will also know that you are talking to somebody that knows about the law.
Exactly.
We'll get back to that.
But for God's sake, go onto the GOSA Facebook group, download this PDF. It was uploaded today. Download this PDF and keep it on your phone. You can print it out and laminate this letter and put it in your cubbyhole in your car, but keep a copy on your phone, so that if you're in that such circumstance, you can say, "Excuse me, officer, do you realize?" And you can take this out and say, "Well, if you want to argue with the brigadier, go ahead. Yeah. I've got his number here. We can phone him. I'm sure he'll be delighted at 2:00 in the morning to discuss this with you." But don't get involved in a confrontation with the officer on the side of the road. It will probably end badly for you. And don't say, please, don't tell the officer that you pay his salary. That has a very poor track record of results.
Yes.
Very poor. But so that's that, dealing with that. Then we have the situation of our club member, etc. Same sort of thing. You mustn't let the police intimidate you. They can't intimidate you. If you've done nothing wrong, you've got a license on you for the firearm, that's it, you're done. Don't let them tell you anything about bloody hollow point ammunition, or why isn't your magazine full? Does that mean that you've actually used some rounds unlawfully, and that's why you're only allowed to carry 5 rounds in your magazine, or 10 rounds, or 100, I don't know what it is, but there's some arbitrary number they throw around. Don't stand down, but don't get into a fight with a guy. If you can see that it's not going to go your way, rather let them gather evidence, let them do what they want to do, and then sue the pants off them later. And we will help you with that. That's what GOSA is for. GOSA is so that we're a bunch of people, a big bunch of people, 103,000 right now, and we've got far more weight, and we've got lawyers, and we've got admin on site, etc., we can help you with that.
But at least if you are a GOSA member, get the GOSA lawyer online if you find, if you feel that something is going south.
Absolutely. Get the GOSA law number. He's 24/7. He's an admitted attorney. He has that phone with him 24/7. He may not be able to help you in person if you're in Gatsonnewater, but he will be able to put you in touch with somebody that's close to you that will be able to help you.
Absolutely.
He will be able to speak to the officer on the phone and explain according to what the law says. And at that stage, also remember that he's a witness. So that's evidence. That's what you need. Anyway, so yes, that is. Oh, I see. I kept keeping the phone open because I was told that comments. We are answering live questions. Oh, there's no live questions.
Okay,
sorry,
okay.
it just went out of the program.
No problem.
So don't let them push you around, but don't stand firm. But if you see that it's going to become unpleasant, then rather back down, gather evidence, and sue later.
Okay. So next thing, do you want to? I've been quite busy with the certain case.
So one of the things that GOSA had taken up a couple of months ago was the case of a member who had some difficulty with licensing. Was it licensing or competency?
So that is the story. Is what I can find out. What the norm in the past was is that two ladies that I know, including the one that we're doing this program on. We'll talk about that now. Got their competency with a photo with the hijab, which is basically covering their hair, but the veil off.
Okay, so Muslim ladies that are required by their religion to present a humble appearance. And presenting a humble appearance is to hide your hair, which can be quite glamorous, and to present as much of the face. And there are varying degrees of hijab and veil, etc., according to a specific. It's like a Jewish gentleman walking around with a yarmulke on. It's a way of showing your humbleness in front of as your religion requires.
Yeah.
Remember, we all have religious freedom in this country. It's one of the wonderful things we have.
So we've done a detailed program on it.
So this in this instance, the lady had used a photograph of herself for her competence, where her face was fully visible. Okay,
and it was accepted.
And it was perfectly acceptable to the police. However, when it came to a firearm license,
Always.
CFR had a heart attack and said, "No, you can't do that. We can't possibly do that." There's case law on this. It actually went to the Constitutional Court with a lady who was in the Defence Force, and the Constitutional Court ruled on this. And as long as the features are recognisable, there is no problem.
Yeah.
It's the same as a guy who takes a photograph for his ID with a beard and then he shaves his beard off. Or he doesn't have a beard, he grows a beard, as everybody has done under COVID, and his face looks totally different. Yeah. You can't refuse the guy's license on the basis that on the fact that he's grown a beard. It's just silliness.
So it's a bit of so there was two cases that I know of that the competency was approved and the licenses was refused, but apparently now they are standing steadfast on actually not approving competencies either. So this is not isolated incidences at all. GOSA Girls on Fire is busy dealing with it, and there's a couple of ways that we're going to go about it. We've had some other ideas which you came up with today, which we'll follow through with. But in the meantime, this afternoon, a video on the whole issue will be out on Tax Shack Tactical TV.
And it's quite a comprehensive video. It's a documentary almost.
It is.
Half an hour or so documentary.
We've the majority is from Max.
So we've got our Max Rosley, one of our attorneys who we use, who's also famous for Motivus. Just a plump for Motivus there.
So he actually gone through his whole pleadings, why it is so ridiculous, which was he presented to the appeals board. So please go and have a look at it. It should be available. I will, as soon as, sorry, we're just busy rendering the video right now. As soon as it's up, I will put it as a link on this, and it will also be available through the channel. So if you haven't liked the channel, please do so. You will then also get informed as soon as something new comes up on the channel.
Fantastic, wonderful. We'll do that, yeah. And as I said, you know, these things are cropping up more and more. It is a fact that the police are pulling more people over and and giving more people trouble about more different things. And we don't know whether this is just rent seeking. We don't know whether this is just looking for you know, the taxi too, and a cool drink. But you have to be prepared to deal with it. So work your plan out before. And what's going to happen if they stop me? What am I going to do? Am I going to go, I'm sorry, officer. Don't, you know, you have, there's no onus on you to tell them that you're carrying a firearm or have a firearm in the car. When they stop you and they say, have you got anything to declare? That's not something to declare. Something to declare is if, yes, officer, sorry, I've got a black bag full of cannabis in the boot. That's something to declare before they find it. Okay. A firearm that's licensed to you is not something to declare. You don't have to tell them, but if they ask you about a firearm, you must tell them.
You have to declare.
If they ask you to present the license, I would present the license first. I'd say, officer, I'm just going to get my license out. I would present the license to the officer. I'd say, would you like me? And if the officer then says to you, where's the firearm? And you say, well, it's on my hip. And he says, I'd like to see it. Or he says, give it here. You say to him, officer, that's most unsafe. I'm unhappy with that. Would you mind if I made it safe first before I handed it over to you? And you can make it safe into the footwell of your car. Just don't let it go off.
Okay, so we've gone back onto that now from
all right.
Okay, so
just
the other
summing
thing
up on
is the GBV,
yes.
We still wanted to talk.
Right,
so Girls on Fire is expanding since we've got NPC status. So
correct.
Maybe you can just give a...
So we actually had an example this week. Yeah. Unfortunately, you know, it's one of those things that you prepare for,
yeah,
but you hope it never happens. We have a member who was subjected to an assault on Monday, quite badly assaulted, and called us and asked us for assistance.
It was over the weekend.
We had so what GOSA Girls on Fire has done, apart from just helping women with firearms and with knowing how to with giving them confidence and how to approach things, they've also gone beyond that, and they said, what do we do with our members or ladies are attacked? How do we support them in other ways? And one of the ways is, so we kick this thing into motion. We've got a whole program that we've worked out now of support that's going to be rolling out from now on, teaching women how to recognize the signs that something is about to happen. If people in the firearms milieu will know about left of bang, we want to do left of bang for ladies as well in a domestic violence situation, recognizing the signs that something's about to go wrong. But this had already gone wrong. So we stepped in there with our plan, and we sent, for example, on the whole of Tuesday, I think, GOSA Law, our in-house attorney, was at court in Florida, at the police station in Florida, and at court with the lady in question, and helped walk her through the process.
So we will have another program next week, actually, yeah, just going through. This is a case study.
Yeah.
And then we'll take it from there.
You know, they say, you know, no dark cloud that doesn't have a silver lining. We try to make this work, or to use this case study as a way of growing the organization, figuring out what we have to do for other people. I see a question has come through. Nothing yet. Okay. Okay. So yeah. Just our social media producer on the line to me here. telling me that I must speak about a shotgun and the teaser we're planning. No, that's tax shack business. That's got nothing to do with GOSA. Yeah. But yeah, so we've been running stuff out all the time. The documentary on
Rooster.
On the lady, she's come up with a name in that. Okay. So the lady with the hijab, it will be available this afternoon on this channel, the same channel that this video is on. Yeah. We will also publicize it separately. It's quite intense. It's quite comprehensive.
About 50 minutes.
It's got various people being interviewed on it. It's a decent program. It's comprehensive on this. We're speaking to other partners in the human rights and the civil rights field to take this program further.
So we've got
because this is something that deserves to be done.
Absolutely, this is a form for me of taking power away from ladies.
Yes,
it comes down to that.
It's trying to make people uncomfortable because they're different.
Exactly.
It's trying to. Would we accept it if they demanded that Jewish men take off their yarmulkes?
Yeah,
it's just silly. It makes no difference to anybody. It's got nothing at all to do with anything. Why try to prosecute something like this? Yeah. Why stand on this? If this is the hill you're going to die on, it's a pretty poor hill to die on.
No.
And we are going to take this further. We have the Constitution behind us. We have a Constitutional Court judgment behind us on this. We were standing up for our members.
So, GOSA Girls on Fire is really expanding. We've been asked as well to go and do to go and speak at some organisations that deals with abused women. Myself and Tsepi is going to a program for abused women next Saturday, where we are going to talk about firearms from both sides, because a lot of ladies think firearms are only bad. So they've asked me to talk about where Girls on Fire goes back to, what do we do, how do we not become victims, if you are a victim, how to go forward. So that is our first of our programs. We will probably keep partnering with this organization.
So one of Girls on Fire's mottos is I'm not a victim no longer. So what we're doing with that is when women have been placed in a position where they have been victimized, we want to convert them from being victors into survivors.
Victims, victims.
That's what I said.
Victors.
No, I didn't, but still.
Okay, sorry. Hearing things then.
Yeah, you need to wash your ears out. So from converting women from being victims to survivors, and from survivors to winners. It's quite possible to use a bad experience to grow as a person.
Absolutely.
If you take the right steps. Many years ago, one of our neighbours was attacked in his house, and his wife and his wife and his sister-in-law were tied up, and they were threatened with all sorts of horrible things, and the guy couldn't do anything, and he felt awful about it. When we first became aware of him, he was running around in the road, trying to do something. He didn't know what to do. It psychologically affected him badly, and that's the problem. He was a victim. And he stayed in that victimhood state because he had no way of converting himself from being a victim to surviving it and being a winner. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to take a bad circumstance and convert it into a chance to grow. And the way you do that is you stand up and fight. You may not be able to fight in the circumstance, but you can fight afterwards.
Yeah.
You can make sure that you collect evidence. You can make sure that you do all the correct procedures. Take it to the layer charge of the police. Make sure that you get a protection order from the courts. You can prosecute the case on your own behalf, which takes you out of that victim mentality and puts you into the mentality of you're actually doing stuff. You're taking steps to solve the problem.
Absolutely.
For yourself and for other people. That's our social being.
Yeah, so I think we've got some interesting programs coming up. Anything else that you want to add, Paul?
Guys, we had a couple of circumstances where our members have been able to use their membership to protect themselves lately. And that's exactly what the GOSA membership,
so if you're not a member yet,
access to the legal services is exactly where it comes in.
Yeah. If you do so, if something happens at 2 o'clock in the morning and you need a lawyer that knows something about gun laws, because most lawyers don't, then please please become members.
Join. Get that 24/7 phone number loaded on your phone so that you can get to it easily. Load it onto your WhatsApp so that you can send through pictures and video. We'll happily deal with that end of it for you.
And then just the last thing, Citizen has been a great supporter of Girls on Fire, and they will be publishing also in tomorrow's paper the story of Rishta Desai and the hijab. So,
well done.
So please go and have a look at it and support the Citizen as well.
Well done, guys. Yeah, support those people that support us.
Anyway, thank you very much. That's us.
Have a great weekend.
Cheers, cheers.
Scrappy, the Land Rover, has lots of friends. Come play with us, the fun never ends. We're gun buddies, we learn gun safety. It's fun and easy, just like 1, 2, 3. If you see a gun, you shouldn't be afraid. You're a gun buddy and you'll be okay. So gun buddies, what does Scrappy say? Stop, don't touch, call a parent, walk away. Someone has a gun, they keep in their room. Don't touch it or it will go boom. Scrappy knows what's best, so listen girls and boys. Guns are not bad, but guns are not toys. If you see a gun, you shouldn't be afraid. You're a gun buddy and you'll be okay. So gun buddies, what does Scrappy say? Stop, don't touch, call a parent, walk away. A friend invites you to come and play. He tells you to touch a gun. No, that's not okay. Scrappy knows what's best, so listen girls and boys. Guns are not bad, but guns are not toys. If you see a gun, you shouldn't be afraid. You're a gun buddy and you'll be okay. So gun buddies, what does Scrappy say? Stop, don't touch, call a parent, walk away. If you see a gun, you shouldn't be afraid. You're a gun buddy and you'll be okay. So gun buddies, what does Scrappy say? Stop, don't touch, call a parent, walk away.